So where are we now? We're joined from San Jose, California by Dana Frank. She's a professor of history at the University of California and specializes in Honduras. And the Honduran government says we've reached the end of that story and now we've got the happy ending of reconciliation and democracy. Is it quite so easy?
I think this is what's so dangerous in this situation, because it's being spun as now we have national reconciliation, peace has been restored to Honduras, and along with democracy, and we can all go home. When in fact there's nothing in this agreement between Lobo and Zelaya that addresses the incredible human rights crisis that's going on. The repression of the opposition's peaceful demonstrations has in fact been worse in the last 2 months than it was in the horrible period immediately following the coup. And Lobo's government tear gassed some high school students inside their school, including using live ammunition, just 3 days after the agreement. So we're all very concerned that in our celebration of Zelaya's return, which is a wonderful thing, that this ongoing repression by Porfirio Lobo's government and the people that perpetrated the coup, who are still very much in power, is going to be ignored, and we'll all go home. And thank you for covering Honduras for that very reason.
And many in the opposition say, as a result, there shouldn't be a return to the Organization of American States until there is some justice and accountability. Why isn't Zelaya then coming out and saying that? How come he's going along with, well, everything's okay, let's go into the OAS? Or is he?
Well, there are huge differences of opinion. I think Zelaya is looking for a way for Honduras to move forward. He's very committed to the political path. I think there's no evidence that he's ever wanted a second term himself. But, he comes from the Liberal Party, the more progressive wing of the Liberal Party, and I think he believes that this is a path to a more electoral victory. Although, there's nothing in this agreement other than Zelaya getting to come back that's new. They always had the right to have a political party if they wanted to. They always had the right to have plebiscites, including some new laws that were passed in January in response to the movement. So there's huge differences of opinion there. There are many people that be the first to say that the original terms for reintroduction to the Organization of American States includes prosecution of the military figures who perpetrated the coup. One of those is head of the armed forces. Another one is head of the state-owned telephone company and uses it. He's declared he wants to use it for intelligence purposes. And another one controls the airports in the immigration service, all appointed by Porfirio Pepe Lobo, the current president, who himself was elected under the coup regime in an election that was boycotted by the opposition and international observers.
So it sounds like a good opportunity then for President Obama, who wants to reset relations with Latin America, to take a stand. It's possible that Obama at this point is embarrassed by the fact that he looked the other way when the coup happened and recognized Lobo despite the evidence of a fraudulent election. Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, has already said, great, everything's wonderful now, democracy's been restored, and of course we can readmit Honduras to the OAS and make this problem go away. And of course, it's a huge ongoing problem for the Honduran people. I talk to people all the time that are terrified of the situation. There are not civil liberties. People on the opposition radio stations are still being threatened. There's actually absolutely no functioning judicial system. Over 300 people have been killed in suspicious assassinations for opposition activities since the coup. Not a single person has been charged or prosecuted for those deaths, including 4 people that were killed in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So it's a terrifying situation if you're a Honduran. And I think we really need to say to Clinton, this is really scary. You can't just say that everything is fine in Honduras. And in fact, there's a letter from Congress members that is going to be released on Tuesday. Over 85 members of Congress have just signed a letter asking for suspension. U.S. Congress, thank you. Asking for suspension of U.S. military and police aid to Honduras because of the ongoing human rights crisis. There's nothing in this agreement that addresses that situation in any concrete way. Now, that doesn't mean it's not a wonderful thing that Zelaya is back. And, one of the Honduran television stations, quite reliable, is reporting 900,000 people. There's no question there were 100,000 people, hundreds of thousands of people in the streets of the capital today. And thank you. Thank you so much. We will be keeping an eye on this. We won't just leave.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Much more from the Americas coming up later in the NewsHour, including they lost their homes and now